Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here on this Tuesday, November 29th, 2022. Thank you for tuning in. Now, here's the thing. It's getting closer and closer. You know, all the times I've joked about, Martha, going to eat the crickets today, or Martha, we got any of those mealworms left or anything, about eating bugs. And I joked about it and stuff. Well, it's getting closer and closer to being a reality because these people who want us to have nothing and be happy, they want us to eat bugs too. And listen, there's a lot of unrest going on in China right now. We're going to talk about in this program as well. So let's get started and let's open up the charts right here. It says, Washington Post advised Americans Sunday that instead of traditional seasonal dinner, which now has become totally unaffordable for a quarter of the families in America, they should instead look to eating bugs. This is a new sensation, evidently. Salted ants, ground crickets. It says why you should try edible insects here by the Washington Post. Yummy ants. Yum. The piece quoted a 6-year-old girl in Pennsylvania who was supposedly given a rousing ovation by onlookers for eating fried worms. The piece stated, this is I guess what the girl said. She says, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. She says, it kind of tastes like kettle corn. So crickets here they're talking about have more protein than beef. And it says everyone in third world countries is already eating them. It says, so why are you any better? Etc., etc. It says watching others enjoy insects may also help break down barriers, the piece stated under a subheadline, creating the new norm. So this is the new norm. Anyway. So anyway, let's take a look at what's going on over in China right now. After we had our good laugh there about bugs. What's going on in China today? Well, this picture kind of tells it all. They're holding up white pieces of paper and they've got their fists up above their head. And they got their phones in the other hand, fist in one hand, phone in the other hand, and they're chanting and in the streets and everything else. It says China's security apparatus has swung into action to smother the COVID protesters. So basically, I guess what's up here is China's got a massive security apparatus, police all on the payroll, everywhere, police everywhere. Hire a lot of police like that, just saying. Any state that hires a huge police force. Yeah, it will protect them because they're all on a payroll. But then again, too, it also adds to the burden of the country that somebody's got to pay for their salaries. So it's fine as long as the country has a high GDP, right, and they're producing a lot of products and stuff, they can pay for stuff like that. All of a sudden, if the mechanism by which a country makes all their money, it starts to erode, it starts to collapse, well, so can the salaries for these security forces as well. So looking long term here, excuse me, folks. Looking long term here, I just see trouble for the Chinese government long term. In the short term, I kind of think that they're going to be able to get this under control. Just not exactly sure if they will get it under control. I'm thinking almost 50-50 in my mind, and even in the short term. But if they get it under control, in the long term, looking out into the future, you see this unrest may be growing even larger later. Because the situation that's causing this unrest to happen is not just COVID. It's much deeper. It's the apparatus in which China uses. It's got rich. I mean, they were a very, very poor country. before they started selling all these products to America. I remember when America had pride, when America had a tool, it was on the side of it was stamped "Made in America," and that tool would last you a lifetime. Say a hammer. You know? You'd be able to build 5 houses with that hammer and put it away and give it to your grandchildren. The handle would still be, the original handle would still be attached to it. And on the side of the handle, it burned into it, "Made in America." Now what do we see? We see hammers started to come, and they said, a little stamp on the side of them said "Made in China." You went out and you hammered 5 nails with it, and the head flew off. The handle split in half. And sometimes the head of the hammerhead would crack right in half because it was made of some sort of weirdo steel and all the products are the same, well, similar. You know, they did make a few good products, few average, I'd say, not really good. I'm not even going to say good, average products for a period of time there. But it made them rich because they're shipping freight containers after freight containers over here full of all this stuff. And then we sat back and we said, well, we don't have to do it ourselves any longer. We don't have to build products here in this country any longer. China's building it all. Great. All of our car parts coming from China. All of our pieces and parts for furniture inside our house coming from China. So cheap because of the sweatshops that they had set up during this period of time. So stuff was so cheap that we couldn't compete. And also, it was so cheap, and we were printing so much money over here that furniture got a year old. Oh, I want a new color this year. Set all the furniture out on the curb, let the truck take it away, and go over to some big furniture company and buy all new furniture for the house because of making great money. And that's the way it was in America for years. I mean, we were the top dog in the world. What it's coming to now is wages are going up in China. COVID has basically destroyed this whole thing. It's just messed up. And now what's going to happen is China's going downhill, and they're sliding down so fast it's unbelievable. Their GDP was like 7%. And now what did I hear it was? It's more than cut in half. And that's all bogus. Half of it's bogus anyway. And I mean, it's just sliding. They're sliding, they're heading head first. They're in free fall. Let's call it free fall, the economy in China. And this is not just, these protests are not just COVID, they're also the free falling Chinese economy. Because if these people can't work and they can't feed themselves, that's going to move them to protest more than the COVID. Because when the COVID started, they locked them down like they're doing now. It wasn't protest because the economy had some heat to it. Now the economy's starting to go down. What do you see? And the protests are growing. And that's a sure sign that it's not just the COVID. It's also the underlying economy, the fact that they cannot feed themselves effectively. Because 20% of the youth in China are jobless. So you got this jobless person. How are they going to feed themselves in a communist country if they haven't got a job? I don't even know how they're surviving, and I think a lot of them aren't. Or not really, and they're slipping through the cracks of society, but that number will grow. 28% to 40%. And when it passes a majority, or majority of the people are suffering, look out. So, looking out into the future, they might squish this. It says that they're going to smother these COVID protests, but what's going to happen in the future? Let's take a look now at the price of silver today. 36 cents up. 21.28. Even at these prices, I'm going to tell you guys, anything under $30 for the spot price, and whatever the premium is on top of that. And for my mind, anything in that area is a super bargain. And there's going to be a time in the future, I don't know, maybe 5 years from now or something, where silver is going to be so hard to come by, and the price will have shot up. It'll have lost control over the price. And, you're going to be looking at multiples higher of what the price is now. And you're just going to be glad you have the stuff. because the dollar is going to be disintegrating in value even faster than it is now. Yeah, we're heading into a period directly ahead where we have disinflation. We've entered into disinflation right now. The disinflation, it could actually get to the point, even if the Fed pivots now at this point, they've triggered this. They've turned everything around. They've turned the tide on everything now at this point. So even if they pivot, we're not going to go back to inflation that quick. Everything has a delayed reaction, and so this delayed reaction, even if they pivot, we're heading toward disinflation and possibly even deflation. And how's this going to affect markets? In a very negative way. We've got a lot of things coming together early next year. When we first go into January this next year, you think 2022 was bad? 2023 is going to be a nightmare. That's what it's setting up. That's what I see setting up. With war, with famine, with weather abnormalities, possibly new diseases. Did you know what they're doing? They are out there right now digging up in the permafrost ancient viruses on things, dead prehistoric animals and stuff, and they're bringing them back to life. Viruses that have not been alive on this planet for 40,000 years. Totally new sets of viruses that they don't understand fully how they even function. They're risking all of humanity bringing these viruses back alive. For what? So they can experiment. You see, we don't know for sure what the hell COVID was. Was it some big experiment or some sort of weapon, or gosh knows what it was? Nobody knows, or even knows where it come from. But this could be 10 times worse. We could be dealing with something that moves so quickly through the population that some strange virus that's been on 40,000 years in the permafrost, and they bring it back to life, and maybe a person catches it, and maybe within 12 hours they're dead, and they pass it on to a dozen other people while the just spread like hot glue through everything, just melt. People just melt on their skin, melts on their bones. They could bring something alive that bad. They're calling them zombie viruses, by the way. That's what they're calling them, zombie viruses that they're bringing back from this permafrost. Anyway, I don't even want to go there. It's just awful. Gold today, it's up 1170 at 1752. Now crypto is got a little bid. It's only $34 billion bid overnight, but it's brought the price of Bitcoin up to 16,387 and Ethereum up to 1207. Looking at the Dow Jones today, and we can see the Dow Jones is down 39 points right now at 33,809. Let's take a look now at crude oil. 79.07. It's up $1.83 today. It's been hovering around $80, more or less. It goes up to 82, 83, and then it goes back down to 78 or whatever. And this is where we've been hovering the last number of days with crude oil. Move index today at 131.73. This market here is getting kind of boring lately because it's been stuck in this rut. It's stuck in this rut going back to all summer and fall. It's been stuck in this rut. Really hasn't went anywhere. Bonds and rates, we're looking at rising yields today. U.S. 10 years at 3.73 and the U.S. 30 years at 3.77, and we're rising 2.9 basis points on both the 10 year and the 30 year. So the only fall in yields we have is on the 3 month and 6 month, and they've only fell a very tiny amount. 3 months is at 4.38 and 6 months is at 4.73. So it's a tremendously large inversion right now. When you're looking at a 30 year at 3.77 and a 1 month at over 4%. So you can invest your money for 30 years and only make just over 3%, but you can invest your money for 1 month and make over 4%. That's the kind of inversion we're looking at here. U.S. dollar index today at 106.65, and we're looking at us pretty much actually going sideways, even though we've had this fall this morning, a little rise this afternoon. But ultimately, when we enter into the day, and right now it's going sideways at 106.57. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Hit that notification icon, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Have a great day. Bye-bye.